Well, hello, brothers and sisters. I'm pro-life leader Frank Pavone, National Director of Priests for Life, Pastoral Director of Rachel's Vineyard and Silent No More, and President of the National Pro-Life Religious Council. Today, I want to join my voices to all the others that are encouraging and thanking those that are participating in the Pennsylvania March for Life on Monday, the 22nd of September, 2025. I've been with you before for this march. This time I'm speaking out in California, and so cannot be with you, but I did want to leave with you these remarks, and not only for those participating in the march, but for all the great pro-life people across the Commonwealth. I've been with so many of you in so many of your communities in every part of Pennsylvania, whether it's in churches speaking or at conventions and conferences, strategy meetings, media appearances, prayer vigils at abortion facilities, and sometimes even in courtrooms, as was the case during the Kermit Gosnell trial, about which I'll have something more to say. I want to leave with you today three names that show, first of all, the impact Pennsylvania has had on the national debate over abortion, and not only the debate, but the cultural changes, the legislative initiatives, the jurisprudence of our nation on abortion. But that also indicate what people in Pennsylvania and also throughout America need to continue focusing on to restore protection to the unborn. And the first of the three names I want to dwell on with you for a moment is Bob Casey, not the senator, but his father, the former governor of Pennsylvania. He, though a Democrat, was pro-life. Of course, pro-life Democrats are a dying breed. There are fewer and fewer of them as the party has become so much more radical on this issue and pushed out of office those who would take a pro-life position. And that was precisely the issue that Governor Casey faced. I was privileged to know him. We conversed about the very thing that I'm talking about now, namely that because of his pro-life position, he was denied a speaking slot at the Democratic National Convention in 1992. And he couldn't justify, and he challenged his party to justify, and they couldn't, why they would exclude a sitting governor, Democrat governor, just because he wanted the unborn children to be protected. This was a man of principle and courage on this issue, and it reminds us of the need to have every political party confront the issue of abortion and land on the right side of it. You know, one of the challenges I always give to Democrats on this issue is describe what you defend. If you think it's so great to be in favor of abortion, show the American people what an abortion is, describe the procedure, show us pictures and videos of it. I mean, why didn't they? They didn't want to have Governor Casey speaking on pro-life at the convention, but neither were they going to show a video of an abortion, were they? They don't want to actually describe what they defend because they know to the extent that it is exposed, people throughout Pennsylvania and throughout the United States and the world will, in fact, reject it. Governor Casey's name, of course, is also connected with Planned Parenthood versus Casey, also 1992. Key decision of the Supreme Court. Many thought at that point that Roe v. Wade would be reversed. Pennsylvania would have played the role then that now it turned out Mississippi played with the 2022 decision of Dobbs reversing Roe v. Wade. Many thought it would be reversed in 1992, but of course, as we know, that did not happen. The Casey decision ended up affirming what the great pro-life legislators in Pennsylvania passed, provisions like informed consent, 24-hour waiting period, parental consent for minors, which of course is still in effect in Pennsylvania law, reporting requirements. These things were, in fact, upheld by the Casey decision. But it also introduced a new framework for analyzing abortion, a new standard for laws dealing with abortion, the undue burden standard, which, of course, has nothing to do with the Constitution, was vague, and the justices of the Supreme Court, as the years went on, differed in their interpretation of it. Well, of course, because there was no definition of what undue or burden meant. And ultimately, that standard was rejected by the Supreme Court in that Dobbs decision, which said, yes, if the people and their lawmakers want to protect the unborn, let them do so. There's no constitutional reason not to. But the Casey decision obviously was pivotal, had a tremendous impact on the entire country, some of it for good, in as much as it was in fact giving a significant leeway to the states to legislate on abortion. And again, we thank the late Governor Casey and also the legislators of Pennsylvania for making headway on that. Outside my office here at our headquarters, I have a plaque that was given to me years ago by legislators in Pennsylvania, a certificate of appreciation, and I want to return that sense of appreciation to them and to the pro-life legislators serving today, and many of whom I know will be representing the legislature right there at the March for Life in Harrisburg. A second name connected with Pennsylvania and the history of the abortion battle in the United States is your current governor, Josh Shapiro. This man is a friend of Planned Parenthood, as you well know, and an enemy to the unborn. And it's really, really sad what the actions he has taken, the things he has done. But as you well know, in Pennsylvania, for some 30 years, and again, we go back to the time of Governor Casey, for some 30 years through the program called Real Alternatives, pregnancy centers were being funded. Alternatives to abortion were being funded, showing the nature of the pro-life movement, that we're not standing there pointing fingers of condemnation and simply saying, don't have abortions, they're evil. We are extending hands of help and of mercy and of hope. The mission of our movement is to replace despair with hope. And part of the despair that drives someone to the door of an abortion facility is the idea that how can I possibly do that? There are no alternatives. There are alternatives. Those alternatives have multiplied immensely over the years, as the Dobbs decision itself points out. And Pennsylvania had it right when it was offering this provision of funding through the state to something like the Real Alternatives program and the abortion facilities, the pregnancy centers rather than the abortion facilities. And brothers and sisters, this is a right of the states that has been upheld again very recently. The right of states to direct money towards childbirth rather than towards abortion is something that has been upheld ever since the time of Roe v. Wade. Simply the fact that abortion is legal in certain places doesn't mean that there's an obligation for the state to pay for it. And yet, Governor Shapiro stopped that 30-year tradition, that 30-year policy of funding alternatives to abortion. It's a shameful act. It's one that we have to continue to expose. Here we have a Democrat Party, again, pretending to be on the side of freedom, on the side of choice, except that they want to take the choices away from women who are dealing with a pregnancy they are not sure they can handle. And we're dealing with a situation where they claim to be on the side of women, and yet, as psychiatrists say, believe behavior. Look at the ones who are actually helping women. It is the pro-life movement. They are the people who are marching today. And a third name, Kermit Gosnell. Who of us can forget? And we should all refresh our memories about more and more of the details of the case that took place from 2011 to 2013 as Kermit Gosnell's abortion facility was raided, and then in 2011 the grand jury report came out. Reread that grand jury report, by the way. I'm going to quote from it here. And then the trial took place, very, very sparse media coverage until the very end. I was sitting there in the courtroom with some of my Priests for Life team, and we were looking at the benches in that room that were designated for media, and there they were sitting empty. and we helped to make some noise about that. I was sitting right behind Kermit Gosnell and his attorney in that courtroom, and I saw on the face of Gosnell what I have seen on the face of numerous abortionists, and we have ministered in our work to many former abortionists, and with the help of psychiatrist Dr. Philip Ney, probed what is it that's going on in the mind and heart of someone who makes a living by killing babies. And what you saw there was a complete dehumanization, a complete disconnect from anything resembling natural human tenderness, care, and affection for children. He was sitting there with this smirk on his face, with a smile as if he were in the right and just above the fray, and oh yes, everything I'm doing is just fine. Human nature tells us it's not fine when a baby is being killed, when a mother is being killed, as he was guilty of doing. Kermit Gosnell represents the need we have strategically to expose the evil going on inside the abortion facilities. Paul says in Ephesians 5:11, have nothing to do with the fruitless works of darkness, but rather expose them. And when you look at the movie that was made, the movie Gosnell, which I urge you to watch once again, just as I urge you to read that grand jury report once again, you see that legal does not mean safe. People talk on the other side about safe and legal abortion as if making it legal has made it safe. Gosnell is one of countless examples that exactly the opposite is the case. Legal does not mean safe at all. Legal, in fact, often is what covers up what is unsafe. The filth. Legal does not mean clean. Legal does not mean up-to-date medical equipment or up-to-date medications. They brought into the courtroom some of the filthy equipment and furniture from the Gosnell Clinic and put it on full display of the jury and everyone else that wanted to look at it. I went right up to it and saw it, as did many others. Brothers and sisters, we have inside the abortion clinics everything that we need to know to bring an end to abortion. We have to rip the veil off it and show and tell the American people about the atrocities that happen inside these facilities, such as were revealed in the Kermit Gosnell case. And when there were so many complaints about what was happening in the Gosnell Clinic, about the filthy conditions, about the malpractice, about the deaths of women, about the killing of babies beyond the legal limit in Pennsylvania, why didn't this all come to light sooner? Let me read a paragraph from the grand jury report, because then this again gives us a strategic point that we can use across the country. The report says, the first line of defense was the Pennsylvania Department of Health. The department's job is to audit hospitals and outpatient medical facilities like Gosnell's to make sure they follow the rules and provide safe care. The department had contact with the Women's Medical Society dating back to 1979 when it first issued approval to open an abortion clinic. It did not conduct another site review until 1989, 10 years later. Numerous violations were already apparent, but Gosnell got a pass when he promised to fix them. Site reviews in 1992 and 1993 also noted various violations, but again failed to ensure they were corrected. But at least the department had been doing something up to that point, however ineffectual. Now here's the point I want to make. Listen to this. After 1993, even that pro forma effort came to an end. Not because of administrative ennui, although there had been plenty. Instead, the Pennsylvania Department of Health abruptly decided, for political reasons, to stop inspecting abortion clinics at all. The politics in question were not anti-abortion, but pro. With the change of administration from Governor Casey to Governor Ridge, Tom Ridge, a pro-abortion Republican, officials concluded that inspections would be, quote, putting a barrier up to women, unquote, seeking abortions. Better to leave clinics to do as they pleased, even though, as Gosnell proved, that meant both women and babies would pay. So bad were the violations of Kermit Gosnell, killing babies even after being born alive, and past the legal limit in Pennsylvania, killing women, failing to monitor patient symptoms, and on it goes in the filth of the place. All this was allowed to go on because of something that has now been picked up in other states as a reason for and a provision enforced by these constitutional amendments that passed this past November in various states and in the two election cycles prior to that, where we have situations, brothers and sisters, of constitutions saying, no, there shall not be any delay or obstacle or barrier in the way of someone's right to get an abortion. Notice these constitutional amendments we see in places like Michigan and Ohio and New York and Colorado and various other states that have passed them. It's not only an idea of making abortion legal, it's that we don't want to delay it in any way. We don't want to put up any barriers. And people might not at first know what that means. It might sound very nice to a voter who's reading it for the first time before they blacken that little circle that says, I vote yes for this amendment. But when you look at a case like the Gosnell case, and you see that because of the idea of not putting up any barrier to someone getting an abortion, not even talk about prohibiting it, not putting up a barrier, not putting up an obstacle, not putting up a delay to someone getting an abortion, what ends up falling by the wayside is basic inspections of abortion facilities that would have revealed a long time ago the kind of atrocities happening with Gosnell. It's the same idea. We want abortion given to them on a silver platter, delivered by an express delivery, no delays, no inconvenience whatsoever, no obstacles in the way. Keep thinking that way, and you end up dropping common sense inspections of abortion facilities. Do we want? Does the abortion industry claiming to serve women want more and more Gosnells in more and more states? What I'm saying to you, brothers and sisters, is that whether it's Kermit Gosnell or Josh Shapiro or the story of Governor Bob Casey, who tried to have a voice in his party, Pennsylvania has a lot to teach the pro-life movement, has a tremendous influence on our entire country as we battle abortion, and is in fact a place where today we recommit ourselves to exposing the evils of abortion, to challenging politicians in every political party, and to continuing to build a culture of life. It has been my privilege to be, as I mentioned at the outset, with so many of you in every part of this Commonwealth. It has been my privilege too, and it still is, as Director of Priests for Life, to have some of our key people reside and work in Pennsylvania, such as the priest who has served as our associate director since 1998, Father Dennis Wild in Villanova, and our Rachel's Vineyard outreach in King of Prussia. We have our national and international headquarters. Likewise in Pennsylvania, our partner in the Silent No More awareness campaign, the Anglicans for Life, and Georgette Forney, who co-founded that campaign together with Janet Morena. And we have various regional coordinators in Pennsylvania carrying forward this great campaign of Silent No More, where we give voice to those who have had abortions, have found healing, and give witness to the saving power of the Lord Jesus Christ. All of you are partners. We consider all of you friends, and I encourage you again, pro-life people of Pennsylvania, continue picking up that torch, teaching younger pro-life people the great history of the fight against abortion that is contained in the story of Pennsylvania, and the great hope for the victory that in Christ Jesus we have already won. We have a victory in our hands. Christ Jesus has conquered death. He has brought about life and immortality through his gospel. He sends his Spirit to work through us, to speak through us, to strengthen us, to give us courage, and to unite us all in this marvelous life-saving work. Thank you, pro-life people of Pennsylvania. Thank you to all the various groups throughout Pennsylvania that continue to do this work. Thank you to the pro-life legislators. And God bless all of you from all of us at Priests for Life, Silent No More, Rachel's Vineyard, and the National Pro-Life Religious Council. I'm pro-life leader Frank Pavone. Thanks for listening to this message. Stay connected with us.